Myself, Mahesh Kumar, Assistant Professor of Chemistry. Today, in the environmental sustainability, we are going to discuss about the biodiversity and biotic resources and introduction to the ecosystem, ecosystem diversity. Okay, today the topic of discussion is biodiversity and biotic resources. Biotic is nothing but living resources, and what is the introduction to the ecosystem diversity we are going to discuss in the today's class. Coming to the topics that we are going to cover in this biodiversity is introduction and key components of biodiversity, rule of biodiversity, significance of biodiversity, biotic resources, examples of biotic resources, ecosystem diversity. Okay, these are the topics today we are going to cover in this class. One is introduction to the biodiversity. Definition. Introduction is nothing but the definition of biodiversity. What are the key components of biodiversity, rule of biodiversity, and what is the significance of biodiversity, what is biotic resources, what are the examples of biotic resources, and uh, about ecosystem diversity. Ecosystem diversity. These are the topics today we are going to cover in this class. Coming to the what actually the biodiversity is, introduction to the biodiversity is biodiversity is a short for biological diversity, refer to the variety and variability of life on the earth. Okay, there are variety of organisms, and what is the variability of the life on the earth is nothing but biodiversity. What is biodiversity? It is a biological diversity. Bio is nothing but biological diversity, refers to the variety and variability among the living organisms on the earth. Living organisms present on the earth. It encompasses the diversity of species. Okay, the diversity of species, ecosystem, species, ecosystem diversity, genetic variation within the species is nothing but biodiversity. Okay, biodiversity is nothing but diversity of species, ecosystem, genetic variation within the species is called as biodiversity. Biodiversity is essential for the functioning of ecosystem, and provides numerous benefits to the humans. Okay, biodiversity is essential for the functioning of ecosystem and provides the numerous benefits to the humans. The representation of global biodiversity is here different varieties of invertebrates are there, vertebrates are there, and plants are there. The variety and variability of living organisms present on the earth is nothing but the biodiversity. Biodiversity is nothing but the variety and variability of living organisms present on the earth is called as biodiversity. Okay, diversity of species, diversity of ecosystem, and diversity of genetic variation within the species is called as biodiversity. Biodiversity is essential for the functioning of ecosystem and provides numerous benefits to the humans. Okay, the representation of global biodiversity in the invertebrates, there are different varieties of insects are present, molluscas, crustaceans, and other animal groups are present in the invertebrates. And in the vertebrates, there are different fishes are there, mammals are there, birds are there, reptiles are there, amphibians are there. Okay, they are nothing but the variety and variability of living organisms present on the earth is nothing but the biodiversity. Coming to the plants, there are fungi, algae, angiosperms, mosses, fern, and allies. All these are nothing but they are belong to the global biodiversity. Now coming to the key components of biodiversity, there are three key components of biodiversity. One is species diversity. There are three components of biodiversity. One is species diversity and genetic diversity. Next one is ecosystem diversity. species diversity, genetic diversity, and ecosystem diversity. All these are key components of biodiversity. What is that? Species diversity, genetic diversity, and ecosystem diversity. This aspect of biodiversity, the coming to the first one, what is species diversity? Species diversity is nothing but this aspect of biodiversity refers to variety and abundance of different species in a given area. Okay, there are variety of and how much amount of different species are present in a given area. It includes everything from the microorganisms to the plants, animals, and fungi is called as species diversity. Species diversity is the variety and variability among the different species in a given area is nothing but the species diversity. It includes everything from starting from the microorganisms to the plants, animals, and fungi. All these are coming to the species diversity. Now, coming to the genetic diversity. Genetic diversity is nothing but it refers to the variety of genes within the species. Okay, genetic diversity is nothing but variety of genes that are present in the within the species is called as genetic diversity. It is crucial for adaptation, evolution, resilience to the environmental changes. Okay, it is crucial for adaptation, evolution, and resilience to the environmental changes. Higher the genetic diversity within the species can increase its chances of survival and phases of diseases, climate change, and other stressors. Here, the higher the genetic diversity within the species can increase its chances of survival in the face of diseases, climate change, and other stressors. Coming to the ecosystem diversity, it is refers to the variety of different habitats, ecosystem, and ecological process within a region is called as ecosystem. Okay, it is nothing but a variety of different habitats, ecosystem, and ecological process within a region is called as ecosystem diversity. It includes the forest, grassland, wetland, coral reef, and more. Each ecosystem provides unique services such as water purification, pollination, carbon carbonation, and soil formation, contributing to overall health of the planet. Overall health of the planet. Here, what is ecosystem diversity? It is nothing but refers to the variety of different habitats, ecosystem, and ecological process within a region is called as ecosystem diversity. It includes forest, grassland, wetland, coral reef, and more. Okay, in the ecosystem diversity, it includes forest, wetland, grassland, coral reef, and more. Each ecosystem it provides unique services to the water purification, pollination, soil formation, contributing to overall health of the planet is nothing but the ecosystem diversity. Ecosystem diversity. Now, the biodiversity plays several important roles. It plays the several important roles. Coming to the first one, ecosystem services. Ecosystem services, economic value, resilience and adaptation. Okay, resilience and adaptation, cultural and spiritual significance. Okay, what are the ecosystem services significance? Role of ecosystem in the biodiversity. The rule, what is the role of ecosystem services in the biodiversity is the biodiversity underpins in provision of ecosystem services for essential for human well-being, including air, water purification, pollination, soil fertility, and nutrient cycling and regulation climate regulation. All these are comes under the ecosystem services. Okay, the provision of ecosystem services essential for the human well-being, including air, water purification, pollination, and soil fertility, nutrient cycling, and climate regulation. All these are comes under the ecosystem services. What is economic value? Economic value is a source of food, medicine, raw materials, other resources that support industries and economic around the world. Okay, here it is a source of food, medicine, raw materials, and other resources that support industries and economics around the world. It also provides opportunities for the recreation, tourism, aesthetic enjoyment. Aesthetic enjoyment. Here, the source of food, medicine, raw materials, and other sources that support the industries and economies around the world. It also provides opportunities for the recreation, tourism, aesthetic enjoyment. Resilience and adaptation. What is resilience and adaptation? Here, diverse ecosystems are more resilient to environmental changes and disturbances. They can better withstand and recover from events such as extreme weather, disease outbreak, and invasive species. Okay, ecosystem services, economic value, resilience and adaptation. In the resilience and adaptation, the diverse ecosystems are more resilient to the environmental changes and disturbances. They can better withstand and recover from the events such as extreme weather, disease outbreak, and invasive species. Cultural and spiritual significance. What is cultural and significance of biodiversity? In that cultural and spiritual significance, here what actually the cultural and the spiritual significance is, it is deeply intertwined within the culture, tradition, spiritual beliefs of many societies. Okay, biodiversity is deeply intertwined with cultures, traditions, spiritual beliefs of many societies. It provides inspiration for art, music, literature, traditional knowledge system. Okay, it provides inspiration for art, music, literature, and traditional knowledge systems. Conservation efforts are aimed at protecting and restoring the biodiversity. Conservation efforts are aimed at protecting and restoring the biodiversity through measures such as establishing the protected areas, sustainable resource management, habitat restoration, species conservation programs, and raising awareness among the about the importance of biodiversity conservation. About the importance of biodiversity conservation. Here, the conservation is the main aim at protecting and restoring of biodiversity through the means such as establishing protect habitat restoration, species conservation programs, and raising awareness about the importance of biodiversity conservation. Biodiversity conservation. Preserving the biodiversity is crucial for ensuring the long-term health and sustainability of our planet. Preserving the biodiversity is crucial for ensuring the long-term health and sustainability of our planet. What is the biotic resources that comes under the biodiversity? Biotic resources are nothing but already you know that it is a living resources, components of ecosystem that are derived from the living organisms. Biotic resources are nothing but also known as living resources, are the components of environment that are derived from the living organisms. These resources include both renewable and non-renewable elements of the natural world that are utilized by the human for the various purposes. Okay, resources it include both renewable and non-renewable resources elements of natural world that are utilized by humans for the various purposes. Biotic resources are essential for the sustaining the life and supporting ecosystem. Sustaining the life and supporting ecosystem. Biotic resources are the essential for sustaining the life and supporting the ecosystem is nothing but biotic resources. Plants, fungus, bacteria, protista, animals, all these are nothing but living organisms. Living organisms are nothing but the biotic resources. Biotic here again it includes both renewable and non-renewable elements of the natural world that are utilized by the humans for the various purposes. Biotic resources are essential for sustaining life and supporting ecosystem. What are the examples of biotic resources? Here some of the examples of biotic resources are plants, animals. The plants are mainly primary biotic resource. It is a primary biotic resource providing food, shelter, medicine, raw materials for the numerous human needs. Plants are the primary biotic resources providing food, shelter, medicine, raw materials for the numerous human needs. It includes crops cultivated for agriculture as well as wild plants harvested for the various purpose such as timber, fibers, dyes, medicinal compounds. Okay, crops cultivated for agricultural purpose as well as wild plants harvested for the various purposes such as timber, fibers, dyes, and medicinal components. These are comes under the biotic resources. Biotic resources are nothing but the primary biotic resources is the plant providing food, shelter, and medicine and raw materials for the numerous human needs. It includes a crop cultivated for the agriculture as well as wild plants harvested from for the various purposes such as timber, fiber, dyes, and medicinal components. Here the examples for the biotic second one is animal. Here animals contribute the biotic resources through livestock farming, aquaculture, hunting or fishing of wild species. Here biotic resources through livestock farming, aquaculture, hunting or fishing of wild species. It provides food, clothing, transportation, labor and other products essential for the human survival and development. Human survival and development. Food, clothing, transportation, labor, other products essential for the human survival and development. Microorganisms as a biotic resources. Microorganisms including the bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa, and vital viruses, vital biotic resources with diverse applications. Here, these are used in agriculture for soil enrichment and pest control. Here, these are agriculture microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa are vital biotic resources with diverse applications. They are used in agriculture for soil enrichment and pest control in biotechnological for the production of enzymes, antibiotics, and other pharmaceuticals, and in environmental remediation for wastewater treatment and pollution control. All these are comes under the uh, uh, biotic resources. Biotic resources. Here, genetic diversity in the biotic resource. Genetic diversity is within the species a critical biotic resource that support adaptation, resilience, and innovation. It provides raw material for breeding programs in agriculture, conservation efforts for endangered species, and research and development in biotechnological and medicine. Genetic diversity within a species is a crucial, critical biotic resource that supports adaptation, resilience, and innovation. It provides a raw material for breeding programs in agriculture, conservation efforts for the endangered species, and research and development in the biotechnological and medicine. Ecosystem services. Ecosystem services, it includes the biotic resources contribute to ecosystem services that are essential for human well-being. That are essential for the human well-being. These services include the pollination, nutrient cycling, soil formation, water purification, climate regulation, pest control, among others. They are support agriculture, forestry, fisheries, other industries, as well as provide recreational and cultural benefits. Recreational and cultural benefits. The biotic resources in the genetic diversity and ecosystem services. Biotic resources contribute to the ecosystem services that are essential for the human well-being. These services include the pollination, nutrient cycling, soil formation, water purification, climate regulation, and pest control, among others. They support agriculture, forestry, fisheries, and other industries, as well as provide recreational and cultural benefits. Biotic resources as the medicinal plants and animals. Medicinal plants and animals. Many plants and animals contain compounds within the medicinal properties. Within the medicinal properties that are used in traditional and modern healthcare system. Many plants and animals contain compounds with medicinal properties that are used in the traditional and modern healthcare system. These biotic resources provide treatment for the various ailments and diseases contributing to the human health and well-being. Okay, here these biotic resources provide treatment for the various disease-causing organisms and diseases that are contributing to human health and well-being. It's important to manage biotic resources sustainably to ensure their continued availability for the future generation. It involves practices such as conservation of biodiversity, sustainable harvesting of wild species, responsible management of agriculture, forestry activities, protection of natural habitat, promotion of genetic diversity in crops and livestock. It involves practices such as conservation of biodiversity, sustainable harvesting of wildlife species, responsible management of agriculture and forestry activities, protection of natural habitats, and promotion of genetic diversity in the crops and livestock. By safeguarding the biotic resources, we can maintain health of ecosystem, support support livelihood, preserve the benefits they provide for the society. Okay, these are the biotic resources that are useful for the medicinal plants and the animals. Coming to the ecosystem diversity, here ecosystem diversity refers to the variety and distribution of different ecosystems within a defined geographical area or across the entire planet. Variety and distribution of different ecosystems within a geographical area or across the entire planet. Ecosystems are dynamic and complex communities of organisms interacting with each other and their physical environment. Here, dynamic and uh, uh, complex communities of organisms interacting with each other and their physical environment. They range from the terrestrial ecosystem like forest, grassland, deserts, wetlands to aquatic ecosystems such as lakes, rivers, estuaries, and coral reefs. It's a complex, dynamic communities of organisms interacting with each other and their physical environment is nothing but ecosystem diversity. It's a range from the terrestrial ecosystem like forest. Terrestrial is nothing but terrestrial. Aquatic. Terrestrial is a land, and aquatic is a water containing substance. Terrestrial ecosystems like forest, grassland, desert, wetlands, aquatic ecosystems such as lakes, rivers, estuaries, and coral reefs are comes under the ecosystem diversity. What are the key components about the ecosystem diversity? Habitat types. Here, habitats are terrestrial habitat and aquatic habitats. In the terrestrial habitats, the examples are deserts, mountains, and grasslands, aquatic oceans, and ponds. The examples for the terrestrial habitats and the aquatic habitats. Terrestrial habitats are deserts, mountains, and grassland. Aquatic habitats are oceans and the ponds. Ecosystem diversity encompasses the different types of habitats and the environment that support the distinct communities of plants, animals, and organisms, microorganisms. Each ecosystem has unique physical, chemical, and biological characteristics that influence the species composition and ecological process within it. Ecosystem habitat types are two types. One is the terrestrial habitats and aquatic habitats. Again, in terrestrial habitats, there are deserts, mountains, and grassland, aquatic habitats, oceans, and ponds. Each ecosystem has its unique physical, chemical, and biological characteristics that influence the species composition and ecological process. Here, spatial distribution. Spatial distribution is ecosystem diversity varies spatially across the landscapes, regions, continents. It reflects the natural patterns of ecological zoning and environmental gradients shaped by the factors such as climate, geology, topography, human activities. The region, landscape, region, and continents, it reflects the natural patterns of ecological zoning and the environmental gradients shaped by the factors such as climate, geology, topography, human activities. Ecological process, includes a range of ecological process and functions occurring within the different ecosystems. The process such as photosynthesis, nutrient cycling, decomposition, predation, competition, regulate energy flow and matter cycling, maintain ecosystem stability and support biodiversity. All these are comes under the ecological processes such as the process such as photosynthesis, nutrient cycling, decomposition, predation, and competition, regulate the energy flow and matter cycling, maintain the ecosystem stability, and support biodiversity. Biodiversity hotspots. Here, Ecosystem diversity is closely linked to biodiversity, as a diverse ecosystem often supports a wide array of species. Biodiversity hotspots are the areas within the exceptionally high level of species richness and endemism, making them critical for conservation efforts to protect unique ecosystem and endemic species. Ecosystem and endemic species. The areas with exceptionally high level of species richness and endemism, making them critical for conservation efforts to protect unique ecosystem and endemic species. Ecosystem services are nothing but provides a wide range of ecosystem services that benefit both for the human well-being and sustainable development. The services include the provisioning services like food, water, and timber, regulating services like climate regulation, flood control, water purification, cultural services like recreation, tourism, and spiritual values, supporting services like soil formation, nutrient cycling, pollination. Threats and conservation. Ecosystem diversity is increasingly threatened by human activities such as habitat destruction, fragmentation, pollution, overexploitation of natural resources, invasive species, and climate change. Threats and conservation are increasingly threatened by human activities such as habitat destruction, fragmentation, pollution, overexploitation of natural resources, invasive species, and climate change. Conservation efforts aim to protect and restore the diverse ecosystems through measures such as establishing the protected areas, sustainable land management practices, habitat restoration, ecosystem-based adaptation strategies. Ecosystem-based adaptation and strategies comes under threats and conservation. Conservation aims to protect and restore diverse ecosystems through measures such as establishing the protected areas, sustainable land management practices, habitat restoration, and the ecosystem-based adaptation strategies. Here, the references in this environmental sustainability is we are going to follow the Margaret Sustainability Principles and Practices, Routledge and Taylor and Francis Group 2017. Responsibility for the teaching sustainability in context, General of Sustainability Education. These are the references we are going to use in the environmental sustainability. One is Robertson, Margaret, Sustainability Principles and Practices, Routledge and Taylor, Francis Group. Responsibility for teaching sustainability in context, General of Sustainable Education. These are the references we are going to follow for environmental sustainability. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.